right, here we go. The NHL's newest insider with a brand new scoop. Zach, did you see this before he came on the air? NHL follow tracker.
I did.
Announcing to the world today that Connor McDavid has now started following Macklin Celebrini. Da, 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 da. Connor to San Jose.
Colby Cohen the other day tweeted that he thinks Macklin Celebrini will win a Stanley Cup before McDavid. I think he was just trying to piss some people off.
Sure.
And I replied, I used AI to my advantage, used the picture of McDavid and Celebrini celebrating together, turned it into a photo of them together? In
Which
San
jersey?
Jose uniforms.
In San Jose. That'll everyone in Edmonton will be really calm
happy
about that one.
Yeah.
Really happy that we're going to make this part of the conversation. Anyway, welcome once again to Brantford, the home of the Bulldogs tonight Hall of Fame game, the inaugural Brantford Bulldogs Hall of Fame inauguration ceremony. Tonight, the first person going in is former Bulldogs owner Michael Andlauer, now, of course, the owner of the Ottawa Senators, sends back in action yesterday, dropping a tough one to the Detroit Red Wings, and in the process, Simon Edvinsson dropping Dylan Cousins in a fight after dropping Brady Tkachuk. Yesterday was a weird night on the schedule. We're going to go over a couple of things that we did see yesterday. Wanted to make sure I got that info out about Connor McDavid as we're going to continue to follow this NHL tracker. So the reason we're here, and we were here yesterday as well as a show on Off the Air, one thing I want to share with you. So as a show on Off the Air yesterday, did a number of interviews with a number of Bulldogs players, Jake O'Brien, hello Seattle, Marek Van Acker, hello Chicago, a couple of other players, Adam Jurczyk, hello St. Louis, and Caleb Malhotra, hello ? Because he's a draft eligible, and he has been rising up the draft rankings all season long. Does he go as high as 3? Is there a chance that he gets into the top 3?
Hello, Vancouver.
Oh, that's just it, right? I was on with Sakaris and Price. They were recorded early because I had to come on to do the show here at the rink. And that's one of the things that we were speculating about. But the other person that I had a chance to talk to was Jay McKee, former NHLer with Buffalo and St. Louis. Played in the OHL with the Niagara Falls Thunder and the Sudbury Wolves, who drafted him. And just a quick little interesting note about Caleb Malhotra. We always talk about the second generation guys, and just, like Manny Malhotra, the Abbotsford head coach, is his father. Played almost 1,000 games in the NHL. So we talk about second generation players and what the advantage of having a dad that played in the NHL is for a kid. And McKee told me something really interesting about Caleb. He said at the beginning of the season, Caleb Malhotra came up to Jay and said, "Can you get me a list of all the first names of all the linesmen in the OHL? Not the referees, because you'll know them, but the linesmen." He said, because I want to be able to have a relationship with them. So it's like, hey, Steve, hey, Kevin, hey, Dave, hey, Howie, or whatever, or whomever. But when you talk about tiny little differences that you get by being a second generation player, and you say, oh, certain advantages you have. Now, Malhotra, all season long, has relationships and a first name relationship with the linesmen in the OHL.
Yeah. I thought that was really interesting.
Smart.
We know they put like the pictures in the NHL benches sometimes of all the officials.
Yep.
But for a kid in the OHL,
I know.
a kid, he is, to me, I guess a kid, he's becoming a man now, but kid.
He's more mature than you are, Zach. I hate to break it to you.
Probably. From the way I heard him speak yesterday, I would say probably. But yeah, I thought that was really interesting. Just like an extra little touch to go that extra distance, which you got to imagine gets passed down by
and that's
very knowledgeable people.
That's right from Manny. That's right from Manny or Uncle Steve, Steve Nash. Okay, here's what's coming up on the program today. The Blueprint, powered by FanDuel. Download the app today and play your game on FanDuel. Coming up on the show today, he is standing by. He is Dave Pagnotta. We will talk about trade deadline, although as you referred to it before I shamed you, TDL heating up. What the hell is TDL? Oh, trade deadline, Marek. Trade deadline. We'll talk with our boy Dave Pagnotta. Reed Duthie, play-by-play voice of the Bulldogs, will stop by as well. And we'll talk about the Bulldogs Hall of Fame and Hall of Fame game tonight against the Oshawa Generals. In the meantime, we have a lot to talk to with Dave Pagnotta, who's all over all of it, to sharpen the pencil on a few things we're familiar with and, get out the lead on some new ones. Here he is, ladies and gentlemen, without a net. Dave Pagnotta on the sheet today. Good to have you aboard, Matt. You've been busy lately, hey?
A little bit. Yeah, things have picked up in the last week or so. Gearing up for TDL.
Thanks, man. Just make me feel unhip. I'm like, Zach, what's TDL? Like, am I missing something that the kids are saying here? Fellow kids. Before we get into a few things, I want to touch on the Boston Bruins with you in a couple of seconds. We'll start that off. And I think it's pretty safe to say anyone who watched the Toronto Maple Leafs in the last couple of games, even though Keith Pelly went there perhaps to rattle a saber or scare, no effect whatsoever. So that's
Negative.
most likely the season there for the Maple Leafs, and that'll inform Brad Treliving now going forward. I want to share with you a conversation that I had this morning on the Sekeres and Price show. So I was talking to someone today about Elias Pettersson, and is this I guess for Vancouver, Dave, maybe the best way to frame it is the last best time to try to move Elias Pettersson here. And this person that I was talking to this morning, who I will describe as a person of influence in the NHL. Try to be vague about these things. We wondered about a destination like the Pittsburgh Penguins for Elias Pettersson. And here was the justification. It would be a deal along the lines of, because Vancouver will look for prospects. So you look for someone like Will Horkoff. They'll want some players to fill in the lineup. So maybe Sam Girard as well. You look at maybe throw in Novak and a couple of the million second rounders that the Pittsburgh Penguins have for Pittsburgh, taking the player at full freight. Okay, so that, and then all of a sudden you have Elias Pettersson and Sidney Crosby. This would be predicated on Malkin not coming back next year because the money won't work. But the money you would pay Pettersson would be washed out by moving Girard and not bringing Malkin back. And what I was thinking about with this, like I've followed Kyle Dubas, as we all have, going back to junior hockey in the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds, where he's always believed in reclamation projects. You could make the argument that when Sheldon Keefe was hired as head coach of the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds, that was a reclamation project for Kyle Dubas and the Sioux Greyhounds. And whether it's, players like Anthony Mantha this year or players previous like Phil Tomasino and Anthony Bavillier, like Dubas has always been in love with the reclamation project. Yes, he Puljujärvi, like there's another one there. The Penguins roster is sort of riddled with the reclamation projects, the second chance guys. This would be the ultimate one, because as much as Dubas has done a great job cleaning things up with the Penguins organization and getting them ready for the future, prospect pool is deep. The draft pick pool is deep as well. Dubas doesn't have a face card yet, right? He doesn't have his face card, right? And general managers love to have their face card. What that one makes, again, this is just you and me shooting the breeze on a Friday afternoon before we get down to more serious things. I'm being frivolous here, but it's part of put it this way, an informed conversation. Would that one make sense to you?
It's interesting. So a couple things point out to me. One, Malkin wants to stay, so you've got to figure out that. You got to massage that for 1 year. Now, could you just swing him over to the wing? Maybe. Is he your 3C? Maybe. But that would be the first, like, okay, I got to figure this out, this scenario out. Vancouver is not going to retain on it, so moving the full money is key. And then the return would need to be massaged, I think, a little bit, because they're not getting face value by any stretch for Petey at all. That's clear.
Hang on, pause for that. What is face value for Elias Pettersson? Is it the 100-point Pettersson, or is it what we see now? Because I struggle with the same thing, Dave. I've caught myself saying the same thing, and then I'm like, well, what is full value? I don't. And so depends on the time of day when you ask me.
Yeah, and right, and there are teams that believe that he can get back. He needs to leave there, and he'll get back to point a game guy. Mm-hmm. Not necessarily the 102-point guy, but maybe the 89-point guy, that point a game type of player. Mm-hmm. And if he's going to stay in Vancouver, he's probably a 60-point guy. So from the Canucks perspective, it should be who gives a crap what he is outside, because here he's only going to be a 60-point guy. But let's try to maximize a return. Can we get a top young kid / first-round pick equivalent, another prospect of value, and then fill the holes? So instead of a 3-prong type of legit return, you're probably looking at 2 or 1.5, and then filling out some stuff to make money work, just to get rid of the bulk of that 11.6. Mm-hmm. It's an interesting way of going about it. Like, you're right. Like, Pittsburgh, from that perspective, add Shinnikov to the mix. They brought him in out of
another great example,
Columbus.
Yep.
Kind of working. So from that perspective, Justin Brazeau wasn't necessarily a reclamation project, but can he keep up progress? And he has. And that's another one. Like, and you mentioned Mantha. There's interest in Mantha. There's a lot of interest in Mantha right now. Pittsburgh probably, unless they're getting an overpayment, might hold on to him. Mm-hmm. But there are teams that are looking at Mantha going, oh man, 6'5", 20 plus goals. He could help us on a run the way he's playing this season. But yeah, PD there is an interesting one. But if I'm Vancouver, I'm trying to up that package.
Well, it's not
because I think they can pull that off.
It's not like Jim Rutherford and Patrick Allvin always go back home for their trades.
No, this be the first deal between these two.
Yeah, they're really
in 2026.
Hey, I'm just gonna chum the waters here for you for what you have coming up, because I know your schedule is always packed and you do like a million interviews on a million different shows. How many people ask you about NHL Follow Tracker?
Well, recently a lot, because I was unfollowed by someone.
Oh, were you?
Yes.
Should I bother asking?
A buddy of that's out then. Tom Wilson, mid Olympics. So guess who's available now? Start throwing that out there. Really, Tommy? All right. Let's see. You want to play that
game? Really, eh?
Yeah, no, buddy of mine. I threw him a little chirp. It was, I don't even think he knew, but whatever. It's fine. Yeah. But I saw the Celebrini thing today.
Okay, that's what I was going to. So, like NHL Follow Tracker has become like the great new insider, right? There was NHL Insider for a while, but now NHL Follow Tracker, because Connor McDavid has now started following Macklin Celebrini. So we'll just ratchet up the hysteria, because things exist. Like, things right now in not just hockey and not just sports, but just in the world, exist in two states: really quiet and really loud. It's either a whisper or it's a scream. There's sort of nothing in between. Like, that's just the lives that we lead right now. So expect this one to get a whole lot of concert here. But when it comes to like this time of year, I know that nerves are close to the skin. And we're seeing what's happening with Tyler Myers and the Detroit Red Wings, and we understand like the situation with his family, and specifically his son, makes it difficult and understandable that Tyler Myers doesn't want to move. And I know he risks exposing himself on July 1st when more teams could be available, when the no trade turns into a 12-team no trade list. But Vancouver's an interesting team. Like, outside of the PD conversations, there's DeBrusk, there's Connor Garland. As you mentioned, there's Tyler Myers, there's Brock Besser. Like, when you sort of run triage with the Vancouver Canucks, how does your list go?
Well, I mean, and by the way, Myers right now, as of this morning, status quo scenario. So they're still waiting to see if other options pop up. They haven't said as first thing this morning. So unless something's changed in the last couple hours, they haven't said no to Detroit yet. They haven't said yes either. So it's kind of just waiting. But outside of that, Evander Kane's probably there. But Evander Kane is a plan B, C, D for a lot of teams. Connor Garland is right there. Jake DeBrusk is right there. Teddy Bluger's right there. And the Brock Besser thing, that one's a tricky one, because yes, they'll listen. My understanding is it has to be the absolute perfect scenario situation for Brock to accept waiving. He started to grow some roots there and in Vancouver, and it has to be the right environment for him to consider waiving. I think he would for the right environment. I don't see that being, I call that a very big long shot right now over these next 7 days for that to be a consideration. It might be a scenario where it's playing the negotiation game. You need a scoring winger. You need an offensive winger. I don't think this is going to work, but may I interest you in a Jake DeBrusk instead, or a Connor Garland instead? And I think that's where the focal points are for the Vancouver Canucks in terms of their guys outside of Myers and Pettersson are Garland and DeBrusk. Now, there was hesitancy in moving Garland earlier on in the season. That shifted. and there's a full willingness to pull the trigger on that now. His no trade protection doesn't kick in until July 1 when his new deal does.
Yep.
DeBrusk has no trade protection, but by all accounts, he's willing to waive for a better environment. And that's key. That word right there, the environment in Vancouver is not great. And I think a good chunk of those guys would be willing to explore alternative options as they regroup and go from there. But it's the younger kids they just acquired, it's Philip Hronek, probably Marcus Pettersson. Outside of that, I think they're listing on pretty much everybody.
So, and this is, again, just based on fit and what would make sense to me. A couple of things. One, I've always wondered about Jake DeBrusk and Edmonton, and I think a lot of that would depend on how they want to construct their third line, and is Ryan Nugent-Hopkins part of it? The other one for Connor Garland, just knowing how this team plays and what they value, man, I wonder about the Boston Bruins with him. Now, and to me, if they're going to move from that, like, would that make a lot of sense to you, Dave? Because that's a team that pops for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I think they've poked it. I know they've had interest before. I've got to imagine they've poked around again on him. Pretty much a local product. And as I said, there was interest before. I could absolutely see them getting into the mix on a guy like Garland for what they're looking for. They're looking for a top 6 guy. The Bruins are.
Yep. And
he checks some boxes for them. I think cap-wise, a $6 million cap hit for what he's capable of fits directly market value, especially with the cap going up. And it's really going to come down to the type of return that they're looking for. The Bruins are shopping Matt Poitras. He's available, and they're trying to utilize him in some type of formation of a deal in order to fill one of the holes. Because they're also looking for right D, but it's top 6 guy. They can add a center, great, but I think they're open to the wing, and I agree with you. I think Connor Garland is a guy that makes a lot of sense for the Bruins.
Hey, just as an aside, one of the things that I've been mentioning more so now than I have for a while, since everyone's treated him like a piñata for the longest time here, should we be giving more credit here to Don Sweeney for what he's been able to do with this Boston Bruins team when this thing was like careening off the cliff and everybody was ready to fire Don Sweeney and get rid of them, and the fans were, lighting torches and, trying to, find out his address. Like it was crazy in Boston around Don Sweeney. And I just don't think that, when people turn things around in the NHL with their teams, we give them enough credit, but here's the Boston Bruins tucked into a playoff spot.
They're healthier. And sometimes patience pays off, right? Like I know there's, especially from the fan perspective, you always want a knee-jerk reaction, right? You want to say, okay, well, crap, we just lost 3 in a row. Let's make a trade. Let's fix this guy. This guy sucks. Get him out of here. Do this, do that. Sometimes you got to just take that step back and go, no, we actually like our team. If we're healthy, here's what we think we're capable of. And I think they fully believed going into this season that they are a playoff-bound team, a playoff-caliber team. Mm-hmm. And so far, they are with what they've got, which is why he's looking to Sweeney as looking to bring in some reinforcements. But not just – and he had a local interview yesterday or the day before, saying that he's approaching this trade deadline differently than he has in the past. And I think by that account, we're not necessarily going for the rental piece. We're going for, like a lot of teams are now, because of the cap, it allows them to do this, bring in a guy that helps them now and next season and the year after that, and however long the term is on that deal, which is where Garland makes sense.
Yep.
For them. But yeah, I think their approach is it's different because it's not just playing in the rental sandbox. Yeah. It's now, going for additional options that can help them long term.
Tampa Bay Lightning. What's happening with John Cooper's squad here?
They're fishing. It seems like right D is what they're looking at. Still, they poked around on some options up front in terms of mid to bottom 6. But this is exactly as I described for the Boston Bruins. The Tampa Bay Lightning are in the same boat. If they make an impact addition, it's a guy who's got term. It's a guy who's going to be controllable, and that's going to impact this team this season, next season, and on. And that's what they're looking to do. Now, some of the pieces that they have available are some of their younger kids. Sam O'Reilly, who they brought back in the Isaac Howard trade with Edmonton,
Yep.
he's believed to be available. And he has been for a little over a month or so. His name's been out there for a little while. But that's a piece that they're willing to dangle if they find that player, presumably a right shot D, top 4 caliber, that's there now and for the immediate future. So that's something that I'm looking at. I don't think they're rushing into anything. I don't think they're trying to be overly they're not panicky by any stretch. They shouldn't be. Look at how they're playing. But they're not just going to do it for the sake of doing it. It's got to be the right fit for Brisebois and company. But that's a piece that seems to be available if they find the right asset that they're looking for.
You know what would be the most Maple Leaf move of all time?
There's probably a few, but what do you got?
Brandon Carlo to go there and win a Stanley Cup. That was a right shot.
Yep. Yeah, that would make sense.
Zach, who's just off camera here for a couple of seconds. I just want to ruin Zach's day. But that, you know, see, so that's interesting to me. Like that Tampa has interest in defensemen. I mean, we see every year that if you think that you have Stanley Cup aspirations, you load up, right? Like we see it.
Yep.
Look what Dallas does every year. Like no one loves a 5-6 pairing, much like better than Jim Nill. Like give me all the 5-6s. I'll take them all around trade deadline because you're going to win the Stanley Cup. You're going to get down to depth defensemen. But Tampa's got a lot. Like I'm not saying that you're wrong at all because I believe 100% what you're saying that Tampa's interested in defensemen. But the next step that I take is what does that tell us about Victor Hedman and his health? Like is there, because I believe that they're looking for D2. Does that mean like that we don't know the full snapshot on how Victor Hedman is?
I think it's a combo. I think it's a combo of cushioning that scenario and also Darren Radish is a UFA.
Yes.
And if you're looking at somebody with term, you're probably just hedging your bets that he might price himself out of that market based on how he's played, deservingly so, this season and the last few seasons. Last 2 years, he was great. He's just catapulted this year. So you're kind of hedging yourself a tiny bit if you can bring in that piece. Again, they're not going to overpay for it or anything along those lines. But if the right guy presents himself and is available, I think that's the direction they go in, where it's top 4 caliber. He may be the third pair this season.
Yeah.
But that seems to be, you're looking at Radish's future, and maybe we can't afford what he's done because shallow free agent pool teams are going to cough up a little bit extra. And then at the same time, what goes on with Victor Hedman, and maybe you limit his minutes a little bit more because you've got more depth on that right side, top quality depth on that right side, where you can maximize, the captain to the full potential of his abilities on what would presumably be quite a run for Tampa. That's what they're looking at this year.
Radish is interesting. It's believed he's looking for the JJ Mosier deal.
Yep.
And he left Wasserman, and now Craig Oster is his agent, who also happens to be the agent for JJ Mosier. So draw the lines as you see fit there on what happens with Darren Radish. Elsewhere around the NHL, we've talked about the Bolts, we talked about the Bruins, we talked about the Vancouver Canucks. I mentioned off the top of the program, tough trip through Florida for the Toronto Maple Leafs, although they have no one to blame other than themselves. Man, did they ever look lifeless. And, the defenseman, playing Keystone Cops is not going to help visually. That's a tough look for the team. Got trounced as they went through Tampa and Florida to play the Bolts and the Panthers. What happens there, Oracle Dave?
Yeah, I think, how's Zach doing, by the way, now that you brought that up?
Oh, he's curled up in a fetal position in the corner. He's sobbing with his thumb in his mouth, crying for mom.
Sounds about right. Sorry, buddy. But I think you just solidified their position in terms of what direction they're going to go in. And I think they're going to continue to listen on their pieces, and not just the Bobby McMahons and the Scott Laughtons on expiring deals. I think they're going to continue to listen on, Simone Benoit. There's interest in OEL, but OEL, I mean, that's one of the ones where they can justify saying you've got to overpay to get him. He wants to stay. He doesn't want to leave. He likes it in Toronto.
He's your best defenseman.
Hands down, without question. He's been their best D all season. So I think they'll listen if it's an overpayment. And I just don't see that playing out. So he more than likely sticks around. But again, this time of year, you never know. But those pieces. And then you have the other suspects. You mentioned Carlo, that they've had talks with other teams about. Matthias Michelli, Max Domi, they've been trying to move for a decent chunk of the season. Kelly Yarncrook as well. And let's see who else some of these teams, knock on the door on. I think Tree and company there are willing to listen on a variety of their guys. And you've got to recoup. And this doesn't mean that they're trying to move these guys for prospects and picks so that they can go through a little bit of a retool. They just got to fill their cupboard up a little bit. And then perhaps in the summer around draft time, utilize those assets, collect them, and then try to fill those holes up front. They've got 4 top 6 forwards, not usually a recipe for success.
Here's one for you. You've probably seen this one. Just more for our listeners and viewers. The Vancouver Canucks, Philip Hronek at 7.25, Marcus Pettersson at 5.5. Which defenseman do you think they're paying the most after that?
Is Booyam's deal up?
You just said his name, Oliver Ekman-Larsson, on the buyout. Is the third highest paid defenseman.
Oh, right. I forgot that he was still on the books.
Canucks. This year and next year, it's just over 4 a copy, and then it drops down to 2. Anyway, so it's out of the frying pan into the fire there. Yeah. Calgary Flames. Interesting game last night against the San Jose Sharks. Your thoughts on what happens to Calgary here? I believe you were the first one in on Blake Coleman. I mean, you were the first voice that I heard attached to, hey, pay attention to Blake Coleman here. But he's not the only candidate. Of course, Nazem Kadri, Ryan Lomberg, et cetera, maybe Mackenzie Weegar. What else is happening with Calgary?
Yeah, so I think Coleman is expecting to be moved. I think he's preparing for it. He's saying the right things right now. He's still a Flame, and that's what his focus is on, and as it should be. But I think there's a very, very good chance, a likelihood that he's moved over the next 7 days here ahead of the deadline. Some people in Calgary were trying to connect, tea leaves and dots and whatnot. His family stayed in Texas after the break. Well, they were there beforehand. His wife's due. So they want to be home for that. So I don't think there's yes, Dallas is interested, but I don't think it means that's the end all once all is said and done. But the Stars are in the mix. And there are other teams that have interest in Blake Coleman, and I think he's, as I said, a prime candidate to be moved. I'm expecting it between now and the deadline. Lomberg as well. He's a pending unrestricted free agent for teams looking for a guy with some winning pedigree, been to the Cup final, financially responsible option for a bottom 6 at fourth line. He's in play as well. There's some chatter in terms of, before I get to Kadri, that maybe they go the hockey trade route again. Which they tried last year. Morgan Frost's name has popped up a couple of times. I don't know if that's something that happens now. I think they focus more on some of their other guys before they go in that direction, unless, the right offer kind of just falls into Conroy's lap. But I think Connie's kind of focused on some of the other elements, including Kadri. And I think there's a good chance, not as good as Coleman, but a good chance that Kadri is moved as well. Versatile player, winner. People are tying him to Colorado now that they freed up an extra $2 million or whatever it was in cap space. I think all 3 teams in that central at the top, Colorado, Dallas, and Minnesota, have interest there in Naz. And Weegar's the interesting one right now because there is interest in Mackenzie Weegar. They're expected to have a conversation with him to see what he wants to do with respect to his no trade. It's a full one, and you see the reports of Ottawa and whatnot. Ottawa's had interest in Weegar for a while.
Yes.
He is a local product. I don't think that's an option right now. I think that might be something he explores later on in his career, going home and playing there. I just don't get the sense that that's an option now. Yeah. I think that he will consider waiving his no movement or no trade clause. He does love it in Calgary. So that's a factor. If it's a lateral move, I think he'd rather just stay in Calgary unless it's a clear-cut cup contender, which I think he would give serious consideration to. So that's the interesting one. They're supposed to have a conversation. Maybe it's happened today. I don't know yet, but between now and the deadline, that convo is going to happen, and then they'll decide where to go. And he may easily say, you know what, I just want to finish this season. Maybe it's something we explore later. but there is a lot of interest in Mackenzie Weegar.
You know, Uyghur Ottawa thing is interesting. I remember on at the draft in Montreal after they did the Talbot move, and this was on the heels of doing the DeBrincat move. Dorian and I were ships crossing, and I said something, congratulations on the Talbot move, and he turned around and said, one more. Still one more. And I said, Uyghur? And he kind of did that little, not a nod, but just like a smile. And I think we all knew, like, yeah, they're trying to get Mackenzie Weegar. So flirting with Uyghur goes way back here.
Yes, it does. Yeah, this era now, that era then.
Yes.
They've got some people in that organization that really like him. But again, I'd be very surprised if he waves for the Sens right now.
Don't disagree. You mentioned, we'll close on this one. You mentioned the Pittsburgh, Colorado deal from this week. A real tidy bit of business by Kyle Dubas again. Like, I remember the reputation about, Cliff Fletcher back in the 80s, late 80s and the early 90s. The old saying was, if you shake hands with Cliff Fletcher, count your fingers afterwards. Like, and I'm wondering, like, how close Kyle Dubas is getting to a Cliff Fletcher reputation, because if you look at the entire body of work and what he's turned other players into, as far as like as far as assets, either prospects or picks, players, like all of it. Dubas, outside of the Tristan Jarry contract, has like really turned this organization around, cleaned up a lot of things around the edges. We mentioned he doesn't have the face card yet. We wonder if that could be someone like an Elias Pettersson. We don't know. We'll see. But what did you make of this week's deal? Where he took Sam Girard and another second round pick, because why not? This is Kyle Dubas, and he collects second round picks. Going the other way, Brett Kulak was, of course, part of the Stuart Skinner, Tristan Jarry deal.
Great bit of business. And he's got the keys and he's driving the car. And maybe if he was given the keys somewhere else yesteryear, that things would have worked out differently in a different environment. But he's got
Zach,
him fully now.
How you doing over there, Zach, by the way? Just let me just pause for 1 sec. You okay there, Zach? No? Okay. I just got the
back
brim of his hat over his eyes. Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry.
You were saying.
Maybe somewhere. I don't know. But now he's got it now. And this is his ship. And, he's steering it. And it's in a pretty good direction by not just, the reclamation projects that we talked about or just projects in general for some guys that have been working out. Just filling up that cupboard again, and it gives them so much flexibility now with 20 picks in the first 3 rounds over the next 4 years. That gives them a lot more flexibility to make additional moves and to bring in more Chinnikov-esque type of pieces, or guys that are a little bit more advanced, because you can package up a couple picks, couple second round picks, a third round pick, another piece, in order to fill that cupboard and fill the immediate cupboard and escalate your rebuild/retool that you're going in. And while you're doing that and your team is performing, nice little 4-1 W yesterday against Jersey to stay in that playoff hunt. It's a pretty good position for the Penguins to be in right now. And I give them full credit. And because of all those pieces, I am curious about what they're going to do. You mentioned, like we talked about Petey. If I'm Pittsburgh, I'm giving St. Louis a call and asking about a couple of their guys.
Robert Thomas
at the top in their mid 20s. Thomas, Kyrou. They've got some interesting pieces in Pittsburgh, and they're not afraid to package them up if it means that caliber player. Yeah, I would make that call.
Yeah, how do you see St. Louis finishing up here as we finish up our conversation? What do you see Doug Armstrong finishing up with as he finishes up as GM of the St. Louis Blues?
Yeah, well, he's trying. He tried trading Matthew Joseph, couldn't pull it off. We've got 25 minutes till waiver wire, see if he gets picked up or not. If he doesn't, they're going to try to make that work anyway ahead of the deadline. They've got Oscar Sundqvist, who's also a pending UFA, who's expected to be moved, and the guys with 1 year left: Shen, Falk, Pia Suter, all available.
Can we pause on Suter? I think that's like a hidden gem that I think a lot of teams will be interested in. Good, like, second line, maybe probably third line center for the playoffs. Ooh, I'd look hard at Suter if I'm a playoff team.
Yeah, stabilize yourself up the middle. There were so many people that kind of head scratched a tiny bit when he signed that contract. Going, was that a little too much? And then you see the value that he continues to bring. Exactly, it's proven to not be. So he's another prime candidate, I believe. And the Kyrous and the Parekos and the Thomases, It's going to be. I mean, those are big deals. Like, and I still maintain that I think Kyrou is going to be moved at some point, if not now, probably in the summer.
Yeah.
Because he's open to it. It's just with the direction the team is going in. If you're over 25, Doug Armstrong and Alex Steen are listening, and we'll see. I expect a few moves coming out of that camp over the next week.
Okay, so we will stay tuned to your reports and NHL Follow Tracker as well for the very latest on who's going where. Thanks as always, Dave. Have a great weekend, pal.
Awesome. You too, buddy.
You be good. Dave Pagnotta from the Fourth Period, DFO Insider here. Check out him and Irfan Ghaffar Wednesdays, 3 o'clock Eastern on the channel. One thing I wanted to point out here is we bring in Reed Duthie here. And by the way, Jack Moore over at Oshawa General say don't go easy on you. So that's why we got to start hammering you right away. One thing I want to point out real quick here. So yesterday, how you doing, pal? Great. So yesterday, I'm being told by Zach to move over. Here we go. Are we good there, Zach? That's for our producer/floor director. So Matthew Schaefer with his 18th goal yesterday. That's the most goals by an 18-year-old D-man in the NHL. So he breaks Phil Housley's record. Now, that's great. Like, good on the kid. Feel great about him. I'm going to ask you about Matthew Schaefer in a couple of seconds here. You saw him when he played with the Erie Otters, Reed. So Phil Housley's record falls there. But interestingly enough, Housley still has one record that's pretty significant, and that is most goals by a second-year defenseman. 31. Just do you think 18 is hot for a first year? Housley pops 31. Now, in the 18-year-old year, he did play some center with Foligno Perreault, Hamel, and, who was it? McKenna. So he would have played some center as well, so not just D, but still. Congratulations to Matthew Schaefer, but now you got to get more than 31 next year because that's Housley's record. Anyway, Reed Duthie, play-by-play voice of the Brantford Bulldogs, joins me right now. How are you, sir?
Doing great, Jeff. Thanks so much for having me. This is a real treat.
Pleasure. Oh, boy.
I watch you all the time.
Oh, boy. Listen, put a little something extra in your envelope for saying that, son. Thank you very much.
It sounds like a wrestling show I've been on.
Yeah, a little bit. Well, let me start off. I just mentioned Matthew Schaefer a second ago. And I mean, you've seen plenty of names, come through the Ontario Hockey League. And I remember last year, my kid was in a tournament in Erie, and so I arranged for the whole team to go and watch, specifically the defenseman, because you're going to get one shot to see Matthew Schaefer because he's going to the National Hockey League. Where do you put him amongst the players that you've seen come through the OHL?
Right at the top of the list in terms of defensemen and in terms of people. One of the best characters that I've seen come through the league, one of the best people I've had the chance to talk to. And you knew, Jeff, right away when you saw this kid at 16 years old, he's not long for this league. He's going to be in the NHL before too long. And I really didn't get a chance to see him as much as I would have liked to with Erie being in the other conference. But every time we got a chance to call him in action, you circled that one because you knew it was going to be a treat. I mean, I compared him every night to Cale Makar. He'd lead the rush and he'd be the first man back. It was just outstanding, and what a talent. The Islanders, I mean, that was awesome for them.
It's interesting too. I don't know that the Islanders picked him. There's some I think Peter Chiarelli didn't pick Connor McDavid. Mike Greer didn't pick Macklin Celebrini. It's not like you pulled them out of a bunch. Like, you're the Islanders. It's like, yeah, we're going Schaefer, dummy. Like,
we were really happy he was still on the board when we had the chance to select him.
Boy, were we surprised when he was available at 1 and dominating the field. Speaking of draft picks and high draft picks, it's got to be a lot of fun calling a team like this. I'm sure you've been part of teams before where it's like, oh, geez, it's another slog because they're on an 8-game losing streak. And I got to try to make this interesting, even though we're going to get pounded by Peterborough or Ottawa or whatever. But, this team is the closest that we've seen in the OHL in a while to a traveling all-star team. Both have established first-round draft picks, whether it's Adam Juracek, Marek Van Acker, Jake O'Brien. These are all first round draft picks, and then future first round draft picks and players like Caleb Malhotra. Is it just flat out fun to call these guys?
Yeah, this is a blast. And on and off the ice, they're a great group of guys to be around, and they make my life really easy traveling with them. But to call them every night, you never know who's going to put up the starring performance. I mean, the last couple of weeks we've seen Jet Luchenko's got 13 points in the last couple of weeks.
I didn't even mention Jet Luchenko, Philadelphia Flyers first round.
Yeah, it just keeps going and going and going.
Yeah.
And Jake O'Brien, since he's come back from an injury, has been otherworldly. And Adam Banach has 3 primary assists the other night. And you never know on any given night which one of these superstars is going to step up. And then you get into the guys that are completely unheralded. Cooper Dennis is not drafted, and he's got 29 goals and over 60 points, and all but I think 4 of those points coming at even strength or shorthanded. So this team has just blown away a lot of expectations at the beginning of the season for a lot of first-year players. And then Spencer Hyman was in the position where they were playing so well that he had to go out and make the moves that he made to get a Danford, a Sandu, a Luchenko, a Paquette, a Frasca, and really put this thing together.
Oh, yeah, Ben Danford. There's another first-round pick from the
Toronto Maple Leafs.
Toronto Maple Leafs. So I asked Spencer this yesterday because I heard the whispers around trade deadline time about Michael Misa and the Bulldogs, and he's like, yeah. We are interested. This is all on the record. He mentioned on the program yesterday. Where would he fit?
Anywhere he wanted to. You want to play center? Do you want to go to Jake O'Brien's left? Do you want to go?
What do you want to do?
Where do you want to go, kid? Yeah, if Misa had been available, and I wouldn't have doubted that Spencer would have been in on that because I don't want to see his phone bill because every time I talked to him in the lead up to trade deadline, he was on the phone. But that would have been another part of a traveling all-star team.
So one of the things that I opened the show with this today, I really like talking to Jay McKee, and I know Spencer doesn't like it when I say this, but like he's not long for the Bulldogs. Like he's going to be an NHL coach. Yep. Jay's a quality coach, and I believe he's already interviewed with some teams, and I would imagine that would continue. But one of the things that he mentioned to me that was really unique, we talk about second-generation players, and I was mentioning that one of the things that Caleb Malhotra went up to him and asked him at the beginning of the season. He said, Coach, give me the first names of every linesman in the league because I want to have like a first name relationship with everybody. And this is like right from his dad, Manny. Oh, yeah. Like this is right from Manny Malhotra. But it's like that, if you have a dad that went through it, and he played Guelph in the OHL, and of course we all know him close to 1,000 games in the league, in the National League, that's that blessing that when you've had a coach that has gone through it, these are the tiny little things. And so Caleb Malhotra now can go and talk to Steve and Kevin and Danny and Frank and whomever.
Yep.
So it's not just the referees, it's the linesmen.
Yep.
Like that's a second-generation hockey player thing.
And that's the kind of thing about Caleb that doesn't surprise me at all. I said to you yesterday, if you told me he was 22 and had already played 2 years in the AHL or in the pros, I wouldn't have been shocked at all. He's that mature. He's the most mature player that I've seen come through the Bulldogs' door at this age. And that's not a slight on anybody else. That's just how good Caleb Malhotra has been. This is a young man that's going to be in the NHL before too long, Jeff. Like he's built for it. He's pro ready just about now. Yeah. And there's a lot of teams that have got to be just licking their chops at the top of the draft. You know, you don't necessarily want to be at the top of the draft order because it means your season didn't go so well, but there are a lot of teams that Caleb Malhotra would be a great prize to come away with.
He did say, and I did ask about Vancouver specifically. I said, which market is on you the most on social media? And he's like, oh, yeah, Vancouver.
Oh, it has to be. Yeah, it has to be.
It's got to be.
You know, early in the season, I compared him a lot to Patrice Bergeron, just the 200-foot game, what he can do, the character that he brings. Yeah. And he pulled me aside the one day. He said, you know, my dad was on that 2011 team that lost to the Bruins. Can we be careful with that one?
Yeah, keep that one down a little bit. Kind of a hot one. I don't know if you followed what happened afterwards. Let me ask you about, because one of the things that I asked the kids yesterday, and a few of them said the Barrie Colts. Who gives the Bulldogs the toughest out?
The Barrie Colts. Yeah, they're exactly right. That team is just, they compete every night. Dylan Smoskowitz has done an incredible job in his first season behind the bench there. They're big, they're fast, and they just work hard. 4 lines, 3 defense pairs. Ben Horebek's a heck of a goaltender to have as your number one. They will be a tough out for anybody in the playoffs, including us. You would hope that the depth that Spencer Hyman has built and the way Jay can coach will be the deciding factor, because Barrie went in last year and spent a lot of assets to put together. Was a really good team a year ago too, but man, they just worked their rear ends off.
They really do. Now, tonight, the Oshawa Generals are in town. It is the Hall of Fame game, and it is the first Hall of Fame induction ceremony for the Bulldogs. And Michael Andlauer, former owner, who just over a year ago sold to the Hyman family, goes in as the first to go into the Bulldogs Hall of Fame. Do you have a thought on Michael Andlauer, who, as we all know, is now the owner of the Ottawa Senators?
If it weren't for Michael Andlauer, I wouldn't be sitting here. None of us would be sitting here. He saved the Bulldogs on multiple occasions. But Michael gave me the opportunity to live my dream job, and that was to be the broadcaster for the Bulldogs. And I grew up in Hamilton, going to the games, wanting to be a part of this organization. And because of Michael, I have a wonderful family, I have a house, and I have a career that I am incredibly proud of. So I can never thank Michael enough for the opportunities that he's given me, and it's only right that he's the first one to go in.
You know, it's interesting because he's from Montreal, and it's not as if, like, there are some people that, again, like they were born with money. Like, that wasn't, like, Michael was the opposite, complete opposite of that. And I remember having long conversations with him in Regina at the Memorial Cup when the Bulldogs were there. That was the Robert Thomas team. And just how much he knew about hockey and loved hockey. Like, he was sometimes, you know what owners are like. Sometimes it's just like, it's a part of their, like, having a team. It's just part of the profile of their business. We have a team and this and like, Michael's a busy guy and he has a lot of things on the go. But I was always impressed at how much he was on top of everything in hockey.
Yeah, he knew everything. He would come in the building and he would, he'd almost quiz you on stuff. He'd be asking you questions that he already knew the answer to, just to see if you were up to date on stuff as well. One of the most intelligent people when it came to the game that I've ever been around. And I can remember in the 2022 run, sitting with Michael and Steve and the coaching staff after the Bulldogs eliminated the Steelheads in the second round, Arbor Jackeyes overtime goal. And Michael talking about what challenges we were going to have in North Bay, and then what challenges potentially Windsor or Flint down the road would provide. And it's those moments where you already knew, but you just realize, he is on top of everything in this league.
And he's a delightful guy to talk to as well. Here's one for you. I'm going to put you on the spot. If it were up to you, all right, Hyman family, don't listen. Who would go in second? I'm gonna
Carey Price.
No. I'm gonna be the homer, and Jack Edwards, my old favorite. He's such a homer. Steve Stais, the Hamilton guy, the president, the general manager. He was Ray Bork's defense partner when I was a kid, for crying out loud.
Stais was awesome.
Built 2 OHL championship teams after taking over an organization that had missed the playoffs its first year into Hamilton, and did an amazing job. And I think Steve would have to be second. And then I think we get into the conversation of, all right, where do you put what player and how quickly do they go in?
Right, because part of this conversation is like the Bulldogs as an American Hockey League team as well, not just OHL, which is why, if we talk about the Bulldogs, you got to throw Carey Price's name in
Carey
there.
Price, PK Subban, Max Pacioretty.
Yeah.
Nigel Dawes.
I love Nigel Dawes.
There's a whole list of, if you want to go all the way back, we go back to Steve Passmore and
great goaltender.
Yeah, exactly. Those were the teams I grew up on. So Ron Hainsey would have to be in a conversation like that. So there's so many guys, and then you get into the OHL years, and it's Logan Morrison, it's Ryan Winterton, it's Mason McTavish, it's Robert Thomas. It's one day in the summer, I actually sat back and looked at the all-time roster of the Bulldogs and thought, over the last 10 years, how many of these guys that I got to call, and thought, wow, this has been an incredible run over the last decade.
And Nick Lardis on the horizon too.
Nick, don't kill me.
What did he end up with last year? Was it 72?
71.
71 goals for Nick Lardis?
Yeah, that was a spectacular season for Nick. And he and Patrick Thomas, there's another one. Patrick Thomas, who was cut at the beginning of the season in 21-22, and by the playoffs, Mason McTavish and Ryan Winterton are asking if we can have that guy on our line. I mean, that showed us right there what he was going to be. So there's another guy that could go in right alongside Nick. But Lardis had a huge impact, and the chase for 70 last year that electrified the city, and that was so much fun to be a part of. And everybody wanted him to score it here, and of course we scored at the very western end of the league in Saginaw. But I don't think it took any of the excitement away from it.
Yeah. Before I wrap up with you here, there's a new building coming, 2028.
Yeah, September of 2028 is our expected move-in.
This team wasn't supposed to be here.
No.
This team was supposed to go back to Hamilton. I asked Spencer and I talked about this a little bit on the show yesterday. As we wrap up, why did it stay?
The city, the fans, the sponsors, the folks at the mayor's office here. Mayor Davis has been a huge proponent of the Bulldogs. He saw the difference that it made having this for the community to come together around. Jeff, this city waited 40 years to get an OHL team back after the Alexanders left, and it was right in the first year, the first game and our first playoff series, the building was shaking when the fans got loud. And it was pretty quick. We got the impression that this is our home. We are staying. And for the city to come together and put an arena together for us right here so we can just take the atmosphere of the Madhouse on Market and move it next door, that makes all the difference in the world.
You mentioned the Alexanders, and the first thing that pops in my mind is Bob Probert fighting in Cooperalls.
Yes. We actually, so last year, our equipment manager, Chris Cook, who is the best in the business, made sure that when we wore the Alexanders jerseys,
the Cooperalls,
he got the pant shells and the socks still look like Cooperalls.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh, I love it.
He doesn't miss a detail.
That's fantastic. And I know that, and I don't want to spoil anything, but there are special jerseys for tonight for the Hall of Fame game. Can you give us a sort of wink at what they may look like? Any teases, or do we have to watch it for tonight?
No, it's an homage of all the years that Michael was the owner. So you'll see a B, you'll see an H, you'll see the red, white, and blue make an appearance.
Oh, that's awesome.
A little bit of everything. And I should, before we go, say two names that never get mentioned.
Okay.
Stephanie Barrett and Connor French, our director of operations, and Connor is our human Swiss Army knife, does everything around here.
Yeah.
They don't get enough credit for what they do. We couldn't do all of this tonight without them. Connor put the legwork in on the Hall of Fame, and Stephanie oversees everything. They're two of the best. And like Jay and like a number of other guys that are going to be headed off to the pro level, people are going to be looking at Stephanie and Connor to be scooped at some point.
And they will be looking at Reed Duthie here too. And if I wanted to put him on the spot, I'd ask him about that, but I won't. You're one of the best, pal.
Thank you so much.
You be good. The great Reed Duthie, the play-by-play voice of the Brantford Bulldogs of the OHL Hall of Fame tonight as the Bulldogs face off against the Oshawa Generals. As I slide, am I reframing the shot now, Zach? Are you floor director, Zach? Are you putting me back here? Okay, let me get that. Pull that out. This is, by the way, the academic room for the Bulldogs. Keep going. Holy smokes! Am I good? Am I good now? Center now. Holy smokes! Can I go pick up your dry cleaning too? Anything else you want me to do? Anything? This is the academic room, by the way. The dressing rooms have all been redone, the weight room and all that. Gary Roberts, as we talked about yesterday, strength and conditioning coach here with the Bulldogs. They got a fantastic operation from top down. I'm very much looking forward to tonight and saying hi to a bunch of people, meeting a bunch of new people as well. I got a guest list for who's coming tonight, and I believe E. Friedman is coming too. I think so.
Darts and all.
We'll see. Yeah, so I was last seen smoking darts in Italy. Panic situations. What do we got left in the program today? Anything we need to go over?
Yeah, you'll like this.
What do you got?
Your boys play the NHL video games?
Yeah.
So are you familiar with like the Be a Pro mode that they can play where you go
No,
through?
but sure.
Okay.
I tend to just leave them. Oh, okay, they'll play video games. Yeah.
So you'll have to show them this and ask them and tell them about this comment. Jeffrey Moron in the chat brought this up. He said, you look like when you go in and meet the coach in the video game and then they give you bad news.
I'm that guy?
The way you're set up right now with the logo in the back. And
Well, son, we're going to be making some changes with the team.
Cutting your minutes and you're going back to junior.
Yeah, you show a lot of promise, but you really lack focus. And what we need here on this team is focused players.
Yeah. And I laughed at that. I looked at it after the comment. I looked at the screen. I was like, yeah, I get it.
Yeah, it kind of looks like that. What do you think of the setup here, by the way, Zach, as we're finishing up the program today? The Bulldogs have been a great organization hosting and
awesome.
First class all the way.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. Being here for the last 2 days, I'm excited for the game tonight. But yeah, the setup that they've given us, it's been really cool. And the arena itself, we're in the dressing room portion. Yes. So like we are in the dressing room, and then as you brought up,
right in front of me is the door to the left of the players' dressing room, and then the coaches' room, and this is the academic room that they've set up, so kids before or after their practices can do all their schoolwork.
But this facility is awesome, and this area that we're in, the dressing room, the access these guys have, like we've got. Where you said we're filming some interviews and stuff. So we've been filming B-roll and walking around, like the dressing room, the weight room, and even like the equipment in the training rooms, the access these guys have to this kind of stuff. It's unbelievable. It's top notch here.
I want to know if you're like my kids. When you go into an OHL dressing room, is the first thing you go and check out the stick rack?
Yeah, and it's right
still
there
that
when
guy?
we walk in. Yeah. Well, I'm not going to stop and do it now, but I walk by and
I still do
look
it.
at them, and
I
it's
just
like
look at the patterns,
the curves, how they all do their the knobs on their sticks. It's all very unique and different.
Yep.
And then the other thing, which like I'm not going to go and grab the kids' sticks and stuff, but you can look at them and see who uses what. They changed and modernized the sticks.
Yep.
So like some of them are the round edges on the sticks now. Some of them have the indent on your fingers and stuff. Like just seeing how the kids like their sticks now, I think that's pretty cool. So I take a look at all of them.
Kids.
The kids.
It's been great. Let's wrap up with the. Do we leave anything on the table? By the way, by the way, you know what I love, and I should have written this person's name down. Maybe I did. I didn't. Bad me. I love still getting triangle alerts. Matvei Michkov last night scored one. Triangle alert, and that in the winner last night.
Yeah.
It's triangle goal.
Yeah. It was good defense.
By JT. Oh jeez, that's a tough look, man. Where was that, JT, in the final game against Canada?
Couldn't have done that.
Where
in the
was that?
gold
Could you
medal
not have
game?
done that against? Could you not have played defense like that, JT Miller, on behalf of everybody in Canada? Could you not? And Jack Hughes, 2 nights ago, turning over the puck to Tate Thompson. Could you not have done that against Canada? Where was that, Jack Hughes? Where was that, Jack Hughes? And where was that, JT Miller? Damn it! Where was that in the gold medal game? No, you got to turn into superheroes. Thanks.
Don't need it.
Yeah, thanks so much for that.
Yeah, the triangle goals. I like seeing those. I get tagged in those every now
You get those
and
too?
then.
Yeah, it's great. Triangle goal alert.
Goal.
Oh, yeah, I get it. I still get Daniel Sprong alerts, and I get triangle goal alerts, which I want to share with everybody. I really, really appreciate. Oilers like to stamp last night on the Kings, eh?
Look, I want to ask you this, and I don't want to pin this in the way of like I'm calling for the guy's head and trying to run him out of town.
Jim
but
Hiller?
Jim
Chance
Hiller
were there last night. You can't ignore it.
Yeah.
I get that on the broadcast there's that awkward moment where do you acknowledge it or not? It's like it's a real thing that's happening. You're like, this is the way that I looked at it. I was speaking to someone today about it. When you're broadcasting a game and there's something like we saw last night with the fired Jim Hiller chance, I know it's uncomfortable, and there are some broadcasters that think it's not professional to acknowledge it, but everybody can hear it in the building and bleeding into the broadcast, and you're competing with these things, phones, where people are putting it all over social media. Yeah. Right? Like, you're not like the only media here dictating. You're there to reflecting more than anything else. So I think, if you're the Edmonton crew, the LA crew, it's part of the event, and it's part of your job to hold up a mirror to the event. That's what you're doing, which is why you probably should say something. Oh, here come it doesn't have to be over the top. Oh, fans have had it with this coach, the Hiller chancer out there. Meanwhile, back to the action. Just something like that. But you should say something, right?
Yeah, I agree. Everybody knows. And the second you hear it for the first time, whether you're in the arena or watching on TV, as you just demonstrated, phone's up, Twitter's open.
Yeah, everyone's talking about it.
Grabbing a clip, posting it, every single account, our daily face-off account's on it right away.
Yeah.
You can acknowledge it.
It was part of the reality of that game.
Yep.
It's part of the reality of that game. And I don't know, listen, I've maintained that, well, it sucks because of the Fiala injury. Yeah. But I still think that Ken Holland does something to try to replace those goals, because I don't think that they want Kopitar's last game to be game 82. Yeah. I think they want him to finish in the playoffs, and understandably so. As much as I thought, and maybe the best example of this was Trevor Linden in Vancouver on his last game, and Jerome McGinley had all the Calgary Flames players go and shake his hand, one, because of the tremendous career that Trevor Linden had, but also because of his work as the final president of the NHL Players Association. Regardless of how you felt about what happened in the 04-05 lockout from the players' point of view, I thought that was a really good thing that Ginla did by having all the Calgary Flames players go and shake his hand. But I don't think that the LA Kings want Kopitar's career to end on game 82.
No. Maybe it involves a Ken Holland, Lou Lamoriello-esque down behind the bench. I'm taking over. I'm taking the reins.
I don't know that Ken Holland wants to go behind the bench.
No,
I don't think that this is Lou Lamoriello saying like, yeah, punt. I'm driving this thing now. But
No.
listen, it's out there, and it was pretty loud last night. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to get into this more with Tyler and Liam here on Oilers Nation every day, which I'm hopping on as soon as the program goes off the air here. Vasily Podkolzin, and I know it's tough to draw it from just like 2 games, and specifically yesterday was a blowout, but untethered from McDavid and Draisaitl looked really good driving his own line.
Give him some depth, something that they've kind of, I don't want to say lacked. Lacked is the wrong word, but at times struggled to find lower in the lineup, and whether that's because of Knobloch not trusting it or just not having it. If he can drive his own line, that makes that team feel and look a lot different. A lot different.
It really, really does. But we'll see. Like, you know who else looked good last night? For all the haters who looked really good, Trent Frederick. I know it was a blowout against the Los Angeles Kings, and that's, you can always come back at like, okay, yeah, they look good in an 8-1 blowout. Okay, yeah, congratulations, Marek.
I thought you were going to be mean and be like, Brad Marchand.
Hey, you know who
I was
looked
just
good?
waiting.
You know who
I'm
looked,
like,
you looked
"Ooh."
really good last. No, we'll let you off the hook. You've taken too much punishment today already. The sheet is powered by FanDuel. Play your game with FanDuel. It's the NHL season. FanDuel, your home for all the action on the ice. From Blue Line to Bet Slip, we've got you covered all season with unique promos, live offerings, and more features to let you play your game. Missed puck drop, no sweat. With a live same-game parlay, you can build your bets up until the final buzzer. Download FanDuel Sportsbook today and play your game. Please play responsibly, 18 plus and physically located in Ontario. If you have questions or concerns about your gambling or the gambling of someone close to you, please contact Connects Ontario 1-866-531-2600 to speak to an advisor free of charge.
Ready?
The floor is yours. The field is yours. You're the poets. What do you got today?
Well, you know, when I was offered this position and I was offered to be the producer of this show, I thought, Jeff,
Did almost say to you, we don't have a job for you, but we have a position?
No.
Oh, okay. Anyway, continue.
He's
You can laugh. Go ahead.
when I was offered this job, I thought I follow you no matter what.
Oh, jeez. There we
But
go, Alex.
the
I
more
follow. Yeah.
you chirp the Leafs, the more you slam the door in my face and break my heart.
Hartman and Dorofeev. Okay, so I got Alex Iafallo.
Yeah.
Not bad.
I wanted to give you like 1 second to see if you're going to jump in there with them, but yeah.
Ryan
Iafallo.
Hartman. I wonder what happens at Ryan Hartman trade deadline time. Alex Iafallo. So goals tonight. Alex Iafallo, Pavel Dorofeev, and Ryan Hartman. $5 brings you $3.45.46.
It's a big payday.
That's a nice one. That's a good one. How long did that one take today? Or
I
did you
did
do it
it
while I was talking to Pagnotta?
No, I did it this morning before I left the hotel. I did morning cup of hockey, sat at my computer, figured this one out.
Is that why I was getting cupcake texts?
Cupcake?
Someone referred on, maybe it was a DM about you being called Cupcake. Was it Cupcake? What'd they call you?
Oh, I don't know. They
Oh,
didn't,
okay.
they didn't call me that to my
Maybe
face.
it was when you weren't on. Anyhow, no reason to go back and listen and watch.
Yeah, I was on with the boys. The
Yeah.
whole goal Laz tweeted out was to get me riled up.
Did it work?
Well, yeah, because the thing is that Colby gets riled up with me, and then the two of us just get going, and then Laz just sits there, and then Colby and I just get fired up and start firing away, and then it's back and forth, and Laz just sits there and smiles.
I was watching a ton of games last night. So how was the post game after that crushing defeat at the hands of the hospital bracelet Panthers?
I don't think anybody is mad at the team or the way they play anymore. Not because the way they're playing is good.
Yeah.
I think everyone's just mad because they're like, how can you watch this and still say publicly,
Yeah.
whether they're posturing here or not, but how can you watch this and still say publicly, well, we haven't decided yet? What is there to not decide? The team stinks.
They've decided.
Yeah.
Don't.
But I think people are just annoyed, and the fact that
Yeah.
the email came out, the letter, if we call it that, and said, we're in injury-riddled season. Like, I think people are just annoyed.
Fans do not want to hear that.
No. And I think people are just pissed
want
off.
to hear that.
And then you watch that, and you're like, we're playing an injury-riddled team, missing I'd say their best player, and we just got
going
our
away,
shit
of
pumped.
course. Yeah. Yeah.
It was pathetic.
They've missed their best player all season long. Now, I know the Florida Panthers aren't going to make the playoffs either.
Yeah.
But there is kind of a recent history of them winning 2 Stanley Cups.
The ultimate goal.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's the thing. Like, they've bought themselves no grace.
Yeah. But I think people are just fed up. Like the play combined with that, it's just like, get me out of here. Everybody's in the post game. People are calling into the show like, I'm done. Get me to the end of the season. Like, all right.
You don't have to watch.
I got a lot of time left.
Like,
I do.
Well, you do. It's your job. But I mean, like, fans, like, you don't have to.
Yeah. People were fed up last night.
It's interesting. You know, Keith Pally made the trip, and for those that think that, you know, when the person in sort of, you know, ultimate charge shows up, like, okay, you better show.
Yeah.
That was the complete opposite.
Yeah.
It was the complete opposite. Like, if you're Keith Pally at that situation, just like fuming.
Yeah. Well, I think it was Justin Bourne tweeted, and I'm paraphrasing on it, but he said, Team France struggling in the first period against the Florida Panthers. It's like, yeah, that's what happened. I said it was like watching the Pee Wee father-son Christmas game. Like, it was just boys against men.
It was a tough game to watch.
It was bad.
So we'll see what happens come trade deadline for the Toronto Maple Leafs and 31 other teams. It's one of the most exciting days on the hockey calendar, folks, as you know. Teams are setting up their rosters for a playoff push, or whatever it is the Maple Leafs are doing. Freeing up cap space and adding future assets. Join the DFO crew on Friday, March 6th at 11 a.m. Eastern for the Daily Faceoff Trade Deadline Special. We look forward to that one next Friday. In the meantime, thanks to Dave Pagnotta for stopping by the program. Thanks to the great Reed Duthie, play-by-play voice of the Brantford Bulldogs, for stopping by. Tonight, it is the Bulldogs alumni game. And the inaugural recipient, or the first person going in to be inducted, I should say, into the Bulldogs Hall of Fame, Michael Andlauer, former Bulldogs owner and now, of course, owner of the Ottawa Senators. So looking forward to that tonight as the Bulldogs face off against the Oshawa Generals. Any closing thoughts from you, Zacharou, as we bid everyone good day from Brantford?
I appreciate the hospitality of the Bulldogs. Gave us 2 amazing setups here in the boardroom today and yesterday out by the arena. Really looking forward to some of the sit-downs that we're going to do later and then getting to watch the game. So it's been a fun experience out here.
Should be fun. Thanks to the Bulldogs for setting us up and treating us first class. You are very much a first-class organization. So thank you on behalf of everybody here at The Sheet. We're back Monday, 1 o'clock Eastern. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy the games tonight, Saturday, Sunday. Talk about them on Monday and more trade rumors. And we'll stay tuned to the Follow Tracker, the new great insider. Right? Have we secured an NHL? Have we secured Follow Tracker for Friday?
We got it.
Or is Follow Tracker? Have they priced themselves out? They going to go appear on TSN or Sportsnet? Have we secured Follow Tracker yet?
So we are unveiling this new thing on Monday. You'll see it on the screen.
Oh yeah,
just a sneak peek. It's like a ticker that you'll see up on the screen for trades. We got to get one for Follow Tracker.
100%.
We need Connor McDavid has followed Macklin Celebrini, folled by Evander Kane has unfollowed the Vancouver Canucks.
Dun, dun. Because what didn't Evander Kane follow some
custom home builder in Texas?
That's it in Texas, yes. Further fueling the speculation. All right, that's it. Go enjoy your day, enjoy your weekend. We're back Monday. Jeff Marek along with you. I hope you enjoyed the program today. If you did, or maybe even if you didn't, they can't all be gems, folks. Please hit the subscribe button. Also a reminder, every morning, 9 a.m. Eastern, Johnny Lazarus, Colby Cohen, I call them the Impact Players. You might know them as a tandem that makes up the Morning Cup of Hockey. Also DFO Live at noon Eastern. This year, your host Tyler Yaremchuk alongside Carter Hutton. Full day's worth of programming right here on Daily Faceoff, your favorite YouTube hockey channel. And as a reminder as well, Zach Phillips, our producer here for The Sheet, said if you subscribe, he'll buy you a puppy. It's true.